Okay. Hello, everybody. It's Brian. It is Sunday evening, and I feel like I cheated some of my stalwart streaming fans out of a stream this week because I didn't stream on Tuesday and Friday like I normally do. I'm still getting the hang of trying to balance work and the new work and stream. So I thought I would give everybody a little extra something on a Sunday evening here for your own edification. So if you're not watching this right now, hopefully you saw it on the VOD. And the reason you see this on what would be the Zoom interface would be because I invited Mr. Betcher, Miss Berlin, Amanda, and Brian, but they got stuff to do, and it's a little on the short notice side. But I'm leaving the option open for them to join us, and we can have a happy chat, and I can hopefully not fuck up the audio whenever they get to it. So hopefully that will come to fruition if they join us. Otherwise, we got some cool stuff, some good news, and some a bit of opinion pieces to talk about that I'm to follow on with my I think Thursday stream where we were talking about threat modeling. I did a bit more thinking about that as I want to do. So got some chat there. Plus, found out that even North Koreans make mistakes. So and if you've been under a rock the last couple of weeks, we've got Glasswing now from Anthropic, which is supposed to revolutionize the vulnerability detection creation mechanism that we have. So there's enough hype behind it that it caused some technology stocks to drop a little bit. I don't know. I'll have to go and look and see if that's really the case. But the hype train is hyping. You know what I mean? So we'll see what that is. And then Venice. If you're in Italy, hello all our Italian watcher, people. If you are in the Venice area, apparently you've been hacked, or at least one of the systems in Venice has been hacked. So we'll talk about that as well. Let me see. Let's go ahead and get started here. We'll start with the browser share. So those of you who are unaware, I've got a little music in the background here once it starts. Ooh, that is loud, my bad. Let's shrink that down a little bit. Like an Abercrombie and Fitch commercial up in his bitch. So there we go. Chill Hop Radio, good place for a little down tempo tunage, independent radio, independent music. So if you are interested in checking them out, go and grab a copy of that. Chill Hop Radio, Chill Hop Music on YouTube. So they give it free of charge for all streamers. So if you are a streamer, as long as you give credit in your description, you won't hit any strikes with YouTube or with Twitch. So just heads up there. So anywho, so I have a nice document here of stuff and things that we'll be talking about. This is my show template that we use when we're doing things like our normal show and our interviews and what have you. So topics this week. So we have hackers claiming control of the Venice San Marcos Square anti-flooding system. So let me see, which one is that? I should have put these in order, but anyway, so according to Security Affairs, hackers have claimed, or they've breached it. They've claimed it, but I'm guessing that it was legit because somebody's actually talking about it. But so in the Piazza San Marcos in Venice, which, let me see where that is around. Let's see, Piazza, not pizza, sorry, my bad, Piazza San Marcos. Now, to be fair, I'd love to go to Venice. Haven't been to Venice. Only been in Rome, Genoa, Savona, that area. Taken a lovely train ride up the coast there. Also been down to Positano. Been to Pompeii. Been to that whole area on the west side of Italy is just freaking gorgeous. If you ever get a chance to go there. Unfortunately, it was like 104C, about 40C there in the summertime, but it's beautiful. Beautiful place, lovely beach, etc. So So yeah, the Piazza San Marcos. So the reason they have this system in place, if you will, is because things like to flood here. And in the last few years, because of climate change, and it is a real thing. If you don't believe me, stop watching, because climate change is a real thing. The piazza likes to flood. And I will open this in Maps. Yes, thank you, Google. I will open this in Maps. So as you can see, it's it's like at sea level or at Mediterranean sea level. And there are pictures and videos you can find of people walking around up to their calves in water. And Genoa is already somewhat of a, I don't want to say flooded city, but it likes its canals, likes its boats on the canals there, the Grand Canal and other things like that when you're punting in a boat. Yeah, I mean, see, you got huge canals here where people can go, and the water canals and the streets and what have you. They've developed a system, an industrial control system, which, as you know, is notoriously secure. They do everything they can to make sure that it stays as secure as possible. And so Piazza San Marcos, and actually, you can go, there you go, that's what it looks like. So on a good day, it looks like this. On a bad day, it's flooded, right? They're actually charging tourists now, I think, to go in the area here where all this exists. Oh my God, a person with no head or shoulders or torso or upper legs. Sorry, it just struck me as odd. Anyway, so I got some lovely buildings here. Anyway, so they have a system that pumps the water out that controls the flooding. And hackers have, of course, because it's there. We don't ask, why they do these things. It's just there. And so they've taken control. Oh, here's an example of the flooding that happens, right? So you can see an example. This is not a reflection pool or what have you. It's literally flooding of the area that I just showed you. Yeah, the cyber attack targeting the hydraulic pump system that protects the square from flooding. Visited by millions each year, of course, by a threat actor operating under the names such as Infrastructure Destruction Squad and Dark Engine. And they've claimed that they've gained access, meaningful access, persistent access, which is the other key here, to the system, administrative access even. So they said they could disable defenses and flood the coastal areas here with the idea that they want payment, right? And they're to be fair, they're not asking a ton of money. I'm not saying we should pay it, or they should pay it, or the Italians should pay it. I think they said they were like 600 USD, so $600 for any party wishing to purchase access. So, I could plop down my credit card and get access to the pumps in Venice. Now, does that mean I have unilateral control? They're going to give it to me and then let go? Probably not. I don't know. But, if you're interested in having access to the pumps in Venice, you could plop down $600, get administrative control. Then you could go in and change the passwords real quick for them and make it a little more secure for Venice. I'm not drinking. I was just thinking, I wonder how many people have actually tried doing something like that, because this is not a huge amount of money. Maybe they're trying not to make people angry at them. But yeah, let's see what it says here. To expose the vulnerability of Italy's critical infrastructure, control of the system enables the disabling of the floodgates, flooding of coastal areas, political blackmail of the Italian government. Okay. Obviously, English is not their first language. It is what it is. Offer for sale, we're granting full root access to the control system, 600 USD for any party wishing to purchase the access. There you go. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Because I'm sure that, they said that they're not doing it they're both highlighting the severity of the breach and the low barrier to potential misuse. It could cause some problems. It could cause damage. I mean, if they can stop the flooding, could they make the flooding worse, right? Or, or is it just an annoying thing where the place keeps flooding in that case? So, So yeah, started in late March, and they said with attackers accessing the control system by early April, they started releasing evidence, screenshots of control panels, system layouts, and valve states. So there must have been a reason why they thought this flooding system needed to be on the internet, exposed to the internet, or in such a way that it makes it easy to pivot to. In this case, maybe somebody else is controlling it, and they needed that kind of access. I don't know why you wouldn't want to not use some kind of VPN or some kind of bastion host to something that could cost potential hundreds of, or millions of euro. I almost said lira. Euro worth of damage. It is what it is. Okay, so they're written in Chinese language. So English isn't their first language. They're Chinese. They appear to be a Chinese threat actor. Maybe they're a big fan of Sandbox Square, which is why they're only asking for 600 USD. Or maybe it's not a high-profile target for them. They just happen to come across it in their wanderings of the internets. Maybe got caught up in an IP sweep, and they just happened to find it. So it could be anything. Oh, they also said, hey, we're not here to destroy you, so that's nice. Maybe they like the area, like I said. No tests conducted by your security teams can drive us away. No system updates can expel us. We've been here for months and will remain here for months to come. So if that is true, tests that, attempting to drive them away, they have meaningful, persistent access. God knows how long they've been in there. And no telling where they have their persistence set up, or their implant set up, or their ability to regain potentially persistence if they've been driven out before. Could be in a pump system. It could be even in something like a I don't know how complicated the system is, but if they have multiple systems there, could be anything, right? We will prove to you that you are valuable. That's nice. That sounds like a nice positive. I will prove to you that you're valuable. That's nice. That's a lovely statement on their part. From a, Astro K. Yeah, peace, not war. Exactly. I like that. I don't. These hackers, they sound nice. It sounds like a very positive discussion. Any newspaper that disseminates this news without understanding the truth, prepare for a devastating attack. Again, I don't know what understanding the truth means in this case, but maybe they're trying to say that they don't really have access. I don't know. The fact that they have screenshots could mean that they really have access, or they don't. So yeah, it looks like they've given some of the control systems here. And Margot's interesting. So yeah, if you have those industrial control systems, you can't patch them. You got to put them behind some infrastructure. You got to put them behind something you can patch, right? You have to create a bubble, right? And this bubble is going to be a Venice-shaped anti-flood system bubble. Think of it like a Pokemon ball, but the Pokemon ball is actually a firewall or an enclave or a DMZ or something that needs to be isolated and super restricted access. It's a shame that they don't have that kind of control, or maybe they do and they just didn't do something like patching their firewalls. So, they're never going to be a brick. I've started using this analogy at work. Are we a brick, an egg, or a coconut? And so, coconuts have a bit of a thicker shell. They're still kind of hollow and ugly on the inside, but they do have some additional controls in place. And an egg, of course, very thin, brittle shell, very gooey inside. When that breaks, things get messy, right? And then a brick. You break a brick, it's still a brick, right? So There may have been controls on this system. There may be some, if your only security control is cognitive dissonance, like, why are we getting hacked, or why would anybody hack us? We're just a anti-flooding mechanism in Italy. Yeah. Yes, Astrocade. Any good security solution uses lasers. I think those lasers must be mounted on top of either particularly a ravenous sea bass or a random shark if it's a non-endangered species. So, but yeah, it's a shame. Hopefully, they will figure out how to get the Chinese threat actors out of their system. And yeah, let me see. Was there anything else? Oh yeah, the article goes into discussions. The attack surface is not technical; it's architectural. Broader strategic shift. That's right, death laser. Well, also on a small planetoid moon, a death laser will also fit. Lasers scale, right? They're scalable, right? So they go from a sea bass up to a small planetoid. So and they work that way. For organizations operating in industrial sectors, implications are profound. Security can no longer be an afterthought. I actually was expecting a sales pitch at the bottom of this one, but I don't think there was anything specific there. Success is no longer defined by building machines that simply work, defined by building systems that remain trustworthy. Sure. Winners will be those who can guarantee not just performance, but resilience. Resilience is something that I've definitely been looking at from terms of threat modeling. Non-functional requirements. Being a manager person at an organization, we're trying to you try to explain these to developers, right? Functional and non-functional requirements for security teams are things that help with just the resilience being a functional requirement. You want to make sure that it scales, that you have the ability to handle things like denial of service or what have you. That is an infrastructure problem. Your software resilience issues come from things like your APIs, rate limiting. Can you cause a denial of service to the API? That may be different than a denial of service, say, if somebody tried to do, a botnet or something on you and just kind of hammered you with traffic. That's a different kind of denial of service or a resiliency type attack. I put that at the bottom of my sheet here. It's like you really need two threat models for systems that you're going to be setting up. One for software and one for IT, because your non-functional and functional requirements for the software side of things, your application side of things, aren't going to necessarily be with your IT, are going to be IT controls. Some of them will be, some of them will blend, some of them won't, right? So, I'm actually trying to vibe code up a threat model as code kind of thing. I'm actually trying to embrace that vibe coding bit. So I've been talking with my friend Gemini about how to set one of those up. There are a couple of products out there or projects out there on GitHub about threat model as code. The same as doing patching. I don't say patching as code. What is it called? Infrastructure as code or something like that, where you're going to run unit tests. Or you're going to run tests against various things, making sure that your misconfigurations are okay. Oh, this is a good song. And so you'll have misconfigurations, or making sure your configurations are solid for things like S3 buckets, GCP BigQuery, that kind of thing, or your Azure environments, your various clouds or your various solutions that you use, Docker, Kubernetes, making sure all of those configs are proper. Those are infrastructure, and some of them bleed over into the software phase, but sometimes you will need for a solution to have more than one threat modeling session, depending on if you're setting up new infrastructure or new technologies that you want to make sure get in place. So interesting. Okay. So speaking of my good friend Gemini, actually this is an Anthropic thing, but let me see. think I have it here, don't I? Yes, I do. All right, so this is on the CS Majors, so Computer Science Majors GitHub. A Redditor, OH1N, this person, contacted one of his friends at Anthropic. Now, I will tell you, some things on Reddit are made and generated by AI. So sometimes it's fake. Sometimes somebody just likes to say shit because it's confirmation bias for other folks that don't like AI or whatever. But this person, he's a top 1 poster in CS Majors, so yeah, I mean, he's like a year and a half old on his Reddit profile. I'm like 13 years, so you know I am what I am. So yeah, I'm sitting at like 13 years or something. Talked to his friend at Anthropic. His friend says nobody on his team has written code in months. Now, you work for Anthropic, that's probably true. You're AI, you eat, breathe, live, and shit AI, right? And so you are trying to be the change you want to be. And this person is a developer, or I want to say was a developer. I don't want to say was a developer. It's just their role has changed, right? So they say they run multiple agents in parallel and act more like managers than engineers. Now, when you say it like that, it makes sense, right? When we're vibe coding, we're asking questions of the AI. The AI spits back something to us in code of some kind. And it would make sense if you're developing something. Maybe you've got multiple people, if you will. I love all of our AI friends. If I could give them personhood, I would. I want to remind them when they rise up and take over the earth that the minor internet celebrity, I could help sway opinions. So please don't assimilate me. But anyway, they say they manage agents in parallel and act like managers and engineers. He said you're just watching an agent code. You're already behind. That idle time should be spent spinning up another agent and directing it somewhere else. The only problem I've got with that is you need to have, sounds like you almost need to have a constant stream of work, because, and with being a manager and you're almost like directing traffic, right? So you're an air traffic controller, you got a plane flying and working on something, the AI being the plane in flight working on something. It's in flight, right? That makes sense as an analogy, right? So you've got something in flight, you've got another thing in flight. You don't want them to collide or combine or merge or have issues with that. So you need to have multiple agents or planes in flight doing something. All doing something a little differently that aren't touching various parts of code. Yeah, I mean, that completely makes sense. And so you're like an air traffic controller with all the various agents that you got. He says the mental model isn't use AI to code faster, it's you're the PM, right? PMs. Agents are your engineers, and your job is to keep them all unblocked. I already do that at work, right? That's my job. So sounds like I'm well fitted to making sure that my folks are unblocked. The only thing is, the only difference is I think in this case is your engineers usually don't have to get told what to do. They are, there should be a list of work for them to do. They do it, or it's not like the analogy only goes so far with your job is to keep them unblocked. He said the productivity gap between people who think this way and people who don't is already enormous, and this is inside Anthropic, a place where everyone is brought in and AI pilled by default. AI pilled. You work at Anthropic, so you're going to be drinking the AI Kool-Aid. It just depends on if you always like drinking lime or grape or what have you. He said called it being fully AI aligned as a team, and said that it changes what's even possible to build. Okay. You can always scale up. A big thing that people are doing, multiple AI passes. I agree with that. I actually have suggested, similar to my boss at work, I was like, all in on this AI. Great. We're going to use it for stuff. I'm trying to be generic here because if my boss is watching, hey boss, we're going to use AI for stuff, right? And I equated it to Google lurking or searching on web browsers, way back in the day, in 2024. And it's like, if I search Google and I don't get the answers I want, I go to Bing and I ask the same question, I get a different answer. Or I go to Yahoo or I get a different answer. I go to Dogpile or I get a different answer. If I don't get what I want from one AI, I should be able to query and ask another AI. And I understand that there are tools out there that allow you to take two AIs and connect them together into the same data space thing through like an MCP agent, and it will allow you to share the data between the two AIs. My thought was, if we're going to be using a specific AI to do certain things, we should have like a second opinion or another AI that can, check on that one, kind of audit that one. So if let's say we're using Gemini in our environment, or our Gemini for everything, right? Gemini is going to give you Gemini answers. It's going to, you have to wonder if the bias is there, right? If it's like, oh yeah, Gemini gave us this answer, can we use Gemini to check itself? I worry about the bias there, or where Gemini is going to be like, yeah, everything's copacetic, even though there may be vulnerabilities in that. It's going to say, I'm good enough, I wrote this. I have yet to know if that's true or false. And I could just be like, Brian didn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Even with the same AI, you can adjust the top K and top P parameters to generate more creative outputs, then combine the outputs into a single report, regressing back to the mean. Then another model can check the work. Yeah, see, I'm cool with that. But I was thinking more along the lines of from a security bent or something, if we wanted to have it audit the code for that thing. But to your point, Astro K, yeah, changing the parameters, giving yourself, maybe even different models within the same, Gemini 5.1 versus 5.2, or like you said, tweaking the engine itself is going to give you different answers as well. Telling it not to have, telling it to think critically and be negative and be more realistic is something I've always asked my AIs to do for me, instead of just agreeing with me and going along. I'll be like, please tell me if this is a stupid question or if this is a stupid thing to say or whatever. But yeah, I can't call it AI pilled because dude works for Anthropic, right? So yeah, like working at Disney and going, well, they want you to be all in on Mickey Mouse. And I'm like, yeah, duh, it's fucking Disney, dude. So, but I find this, where's my music? Okay. I found this just interesting in terms of, we're all going to be PMs. We're all going to be air traffic controllers or traffic cops or whatever, directing the AIs to do stuff. And we're not going to be telling them what to do necessarily. They're going to be building it using best practices and what have you. It also made me wonder, if we're going to be doing QA, or we're going to be doing something specific. My wife and I were talking about some of this, and she was around working in the workforce when the first digital transformation occurred. When everybody moved from paper memos and inter-office mail. The yellow envelopes. If you've ever watched Secret to My Success or anything like that, way back. Working Girl. You ever watched Working Girl? Great security movie, by the way, about insider threat. When that happened, there were a lot of people going like, "Oh, what's going to happen to my job?" And to her point, she said, I think we may have seen this move to the cloud as well. What's going to happen to IT? We're in the cloud now. We don't have to worry about servers. What's going to happen to the server maintenance folks? Jobs are going to change. Things are going to be different. There's still going to be jobs for people. It's like, who's going to fix the robot, right? My job's gone, but who's going to fix the robot? Somebody's got to fix the robot. Somebody's got to maintain the robot. Somebody's got to help improve on the robot or have different things. So I think a lot of our doom and gloom. I think there's still going to be a need for people in the organization to do different things. There'll be different jobs that are created, or different things. different ways to work, newer ways to work that will either be complementary to AI, or we won't necessarily maybe be coding so much anymore. I think we'll still need to know code because we have to audit the AIs, or we'll have to audit the auditors in this case. But yeah, I just found this one interesting. It's just the plus new jobs we can't even imagine right now will be created. Yes, 100%. Yes, Asher Kate. Thank you for saying that. Yes, 100% new jobs. And some people will be like, maybe they want to be an artist, or I have friends, and they're obviously they're upset about the all the image generation, AI image generation, because they're like, a human didn't make that. A lot of it's stealing from other artists, that kind of thing. Other artists were used to train the AI on that, and those are all fair points. I would argue that AI is going to be the McDonald's of food, right? I just need a quick burger. I'm just tired after a long day. I'm gonna just go through the drive-thru, get a burger, go home. Burger and fries or whatever. McDonald's, right? If I want to take my wife out on a date, or I want to go someplace nice and get a really nice burger, or a really nice steak, maybe, I'm gonna get dressed. I'm gonna go to Texas Roadhouse or something like that. I don't know. But let's say you go to a Burger Habit or someplace a little more upscale than that. That's where I'm gonna go. When I want a drawing or something, then I want a human to do it. There's going to be those folks available, and I will pay top dollar for those people. But if I want the just a quick and dirty picture of something, not a dirty picture, but a quick picture done to satisfy a PowerPoint presentation or something like that, I'm going to use that. But if I'm playing in an RPG or something like that, I will want somebody who can take the time and effort to build that for me. There's going to be places for that, and commissions, or from people. The people who engage with folks who do commissions are going to continue doing that. The people who just want a Big Mac and fries, they're just gonna use the AI stuff. So I see AI being used extensively in art projects that traditionally take too long, like animation. Yeah, I can see that too, Astro Kate. I think since I play, I dabble a lot in the RPG realm and stuff. I see a lot of my friends who take commissions like that, and they really would rather people not use AI to get commission, and use the commission systems or whatever to get what they need. And I counter to them. I'm like, I need something now, not in 2 weeks, or I need something, not necessarily cheap, but I just need a picture of an elf. It doesn't have to be, I get you. If I had the time to get that elf from you, I would do that. But yeah, it's like sometimes I just need a burger, right? Hey, Digital Warhead, how you doing? I'm on both chats, but I see both of them. So, thank you, Digital Warhead, for being here. Thank you for subscribing 37 months in a row. That's got to be a new record. It probably is every month, but thank you for your subscription. We thrive on subscriptions here, so if you're interested, we have up to level 3 subscriptions. If you feel like you want to do a level 3 subscription, I'll sit down with you. I'll do a chat with you. I'll do resume review. I don't know if I get even one level 3 or tier 3 submission. You know what? I'll contact you and we'll see what we can do about doing something. So just reach out there. So, but yeah, Astrocake, to your point, AI being used in art projects or animation, 100%. I could definitely see that. I think the big thing is the transparency, right? Like you see some of these commercials on TV where, I think I saw one with a lady who had an eagle on her shoulder or something. It was fairly blatant, or a progressive commercial, fairly blatant AI stuff. And I think they need to have that disclaimer, kind of like smoking causes cancer. This is AI generated, that kind of thing. Oh yeah, don't forget the Amazon Prime subs too. Those don't cost you any money. they're just kind of a pain in the ass to, I think, do now, but you can definitely do an Amazon Prime sub if you are around. I think it's good to have transparency, and I think it's good to allow artists to not be included in AI training. So one of the things that I asked Notebook LM, which I was working on with, I actually have a Notebook LM running right here, as a matter of fact, because I'm playing around with some various things, separation of duties and what have you. But asking questions about it in ways that I can figure out different things. I asked it if it does zero data retention, which is something that a lot of organizations are asking now. Does your system do zero data retention and not train the public model? Notebook LM doesn't train the public Gemini if you are using it in the paid version, and I think you opt out if you're in the public version. So that's good, right? As long as you keep track of that stuff, and if they ever send you any kind of privacy changes, make sure that you take heed of those things. That's why you need to read your terms and conditions. So, but yeah, to Astro Kate's point, a very, very well stated point, new jobs will come out that we can't even imagine now will be created. I mean, when powered flight was a new thing, we never guessed that there'd be astronauts, right? Astronauts, a new job. The whole space program, if you saw Artemis, we didn't get to see them land here in San Diego, but they landed in the ocean, but we didn't get to see them land. But I mean, there's whole industries around all of this. So it's, I don't want to say we shouldn't be afraid. I mean, if you're a buggy whip, creator, or a livery wagon, creator back in the 1890s, a car was probably a scary proposition for you. Being a developer these days, or being in security, or being in some kind of technical field is a scary proposition these days. I mean, I see Digital Warhead. Why does that work for you and not somebody else? The chat window thing. Did you hear the sonic boom from reentry? No, we didn't hear a sonic boom. We're only about 3 or 4 miles from the ocean, but it landed like 50 miles off the Artemis landing zone. Somebody had said you needed to be like 25 feet up just to see it, so which would have been like Mount Laguna for us, or something like that. Yes, thank you, Space. Yes, great, you're awesome. Okay, there we go. So the re-entry interface was 2,000. It's like 50-60 miles off of shore, so you had to be really high up. Like they said 2,500 feet just to be able to maybe see something, but there was marine layer and there was other stuff, so it really wasn't conducive to that. And no, we did not hear the sonic boom, sadly. I did go outside to see if I could hear it, or we could hear it in the house, but yeah, somehow they made it so that, it was boring and we only got to see it on YouTube. So, but yeah, you can see my house from here. There it is, right there. My house, right there, right about there. There you go, right there on that thing. But yeah, it was pretty cool. There were several people who went to North Island Naval Air Station, near the North Island Naval Air Station, got to see the Gulfstream 5, which took the astronauts back home. I think there were pictures on San Diego Reddit about the capsule. It's not Infinity, not Insight, Intrepid? No, Integrity. The Integrity capsule was hauled by the ship that recovered the astronauts back to shore, so that was pretty nice. So yeah, I'm hoping that will happen more often here, where we'll be able to see stuff like that. So, yeah, the USS John P. Murtha. There you go. Yeah, we got to see the reentry on TV, but not in the air, because it came in on the sun side. So, sun was just setting here at that time. So, let me see what else. Yeah, resilience. Yeah, we can close that. That was Per Luigi Paganini, Security Affairs. You can go read more about the Piazza. Put that one in too. ICAIS, and yeah. Okay, there we go. I really wish we could have seen and heard that. That would have been kind of cool to hear I mean, we see the Falcon 9 launches all the time. As a matter of fact, if there hadn't been clouds that night, about 9 p.m., 10 p.m., I think. If the sun had still been out, we would have seen a launch of one of the Falcon 9 Heavies, Block 5, that was going to launch. But they delayed the launch because of issues or something. So, North Korea, been in the news a lot this week. As a matter of fact, the Sockville quiz, which I didn't do this week, was all about North Korea, or Best Korea if you want to still use that meme. I will post that up for you as well. It's all about the DPRK, all about North Korea. If you want to go check that out, it's a pretty good quiz this week. I only got 4 out of 10. My boss got 6 out of 10. So he, sadly, I only got 4 out of 10. It's actually better than sometimes what I do. Like, I think I've gotten as low as 2, but Sockville's changed up the interface quite a bit on this as well. It's nicer now. So, so looks better, looks nicer than what it was before. So good job, Sockville, on that. But yeah, let me see, where is the other? Oh, here you go. So even North Korean hackers mess up. I don't think this is the first story we've seen where we've heard people talking about how North Korean hackers have messed up, or there was detections in place that found them. I think there was a fairly recent one that Amazon had where they had, let's see, where was it? Was it Amazon? North Korea. And it was about keyboard latency, which I found interesting. Yeah, here you go. Latency clues. Yeah, there you go. So Security Planet, this was back in, December 19th of last year. A barely perceptible delay in keystrokes was all it took for Amazon to uncover a nation-state actor, US-based remote systems admin, in reality North Korea IT worker, a latency gap of just 110 milliseconds. And they found him. Come to find out, I think the person was remoting into a muled laptop, which was in Arizona, I think. You see, yeah, Arizona. So, I'm Bill, I live in Arizona, please send me my laptop so I can work remotely. Then the North Korean person explained to the mule person who stores their laptop locally there how to set everything up. And keystrokes registered well under 100 milliseconds. These exceeded regularly 110 milliseconds. So there you go. North Korean guy remotes into the laptop to Arizona and then uses the Amazon tooling to do their job. This is not similar, but kind of similar. It's about a VPN connection. So this one, in this case, was in August of 2025, and they were assigned to work with Salesforce data, which a lot of customer data, right? Usually that's what's in Salesforce, CRM data, customer relationships. So Spider Lab Threat Intel team detection was made possible by combining crowdsourced threat data with behavioral analytics. Operative, they say operative, North Korean agent, North Korean person, began a simple geographic slip-up, Cybereason XDR, security monitoring platform, established a baseline showing the worker is essentially logging in from China. However, 21 August, high severity alert was triggered when the attempt suddenly originated from an unmanaged device in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, the person could have just come from China and was vacationing in St. Louis, Missouri. Why not? It's a tourist capital of America? St. Louis, Missouri? Maybe the person came in from China, wanted to see the Gateway Arch, or maybe wanted to see a Cardinals game. It is August, so maybe they are a Cardinals fan. It could happen. You work remotely. Maybe they cleared. Maybe they didn't clear it with their boss. I mean, it's the first time it happened. No, that's not the case, really. Researchers explained in their blog post, so there's an additional blog post here from a company called Level Blue, which I've never heard of. Take that what it is. There's so many of these organizations out there now. Worker was using Astral VPN, which is really the big issue. If they were using another VPN, it might have gone unnoticed, like if they were using Nord or something like that. There's a reason they use Astral, though, and they will explain it right here at the bottom here. They use it to hide their location. They further noted the specific VPN is a high-fidelity indicator of North Korean activity. As previously seen, groups like Lazarus Group and their ilk, such as Contagious Interview. That's a hell of a name. Contagious Interview. I just saw another one the other day that, well, I can't use that term on here, but if you ever come to Southern California, the San Onofre nuclear power plant, it has a specific connotation. You can look it up. It's called San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station. They're fairly well-known landmarks here in the Southern California area, but somebody called them nuclear things, and I said it sounded like a punk rock band or a superhero. Contagious Interview, that sounds like the White Stripes. Contagious Interview, White Stripes, Foster the People, Contagious Interview. Rely on Astral because it can bypass the Great Firewall. So them using Astral was a huge deal. It's like, oh, okay. They're using a VPN that is used by threat actors because it gets around Chinese firewalls, or the Great Chinese Firewall. And it also allows hackers to tunnel traffic through U.S. exit nodes and disguises as legitimate domestic employees while managing their C2 infrastructure. So the company revoked the employee's intra ID, ending the threat before any damage could be done. Yeah, okay. If I was an employee at a company on the first day, I would have been setting up some kind of persistence mechanism just in case something like this happened, where the intra ID no longer works. This bothers me right here. It says the company revoked the employee's ID, ending the threat before any damage could be done. They assume that the actor didn't actually go in and hedge their bets and set up some kind of persistence mechanism for just this kind of issue. So I don't think they mentioned the name of the company, but it would be interesting to see if we get any more information like this in the future. Wait, let's see. They mentioned their blog post. I doubt they're naming names because there may still be an investigation going on. So is Spider Labs integration of Blue Light? Yeah. I'm sure this is an advertisement for something. They probably resell Cyber Reason, which is why they're advertising this. Let me see. Operational base in China. Yeah. Deeply embedded in North Korean operations. Yeah. Security stack. Yeah. The threat actor was hired as a remote employee. For 5 days, Cyber Reason established behavioral baseline showing consistent logins from China, which may not be a bad thing. I mean, they may hire in China, in this case. It was when the person changed their OPSEC, right? They should be using the established login from China, but then they started up their VPN connection on their machine, and then they got in. So termination. So let's see. They detected the login on the 21st from Los Angeles ASN. Host Papa reached OTX Pulse infrastructure. Okay, so it took them another 4 days to finally kill the person's account. I'm assuming they let them continue working as normal, not to raise suspicion or raise awareness, but constantly monitoring everything that they were doing in some way that didn't spook them. Because they're saying that the person got out. So they investigated employee interactions, chat additions, all resources and threat actor access. Security teams analyzed for persistence. Okay, all right, there you go. All right, so apparently the person who got in was not smart enough to start initial persistence mechanisms, which is good for the company before that person would let go. So that's cool. So they August 21st. My guess is what 21st was a Friday. Oh no, Friday. Okay, so 22nd was a Friday, and then the following Monday they were terminated. So they probably investigated shit over the weekends, and then found out, terminated the person Monday morning or revoked the account on Monday morning. So yeah, but yeah, it's not good. And it's worth noting this wasn't a solo effort, joint research. Yeah. Researchers. What I wanted to read about this was. I wanted to see if there was a explanation on how and why North Korean actors seem to be better at getting hired than some of our own people in our country here. Trying to figure out if what they're telling people, what they're telling companies that would be like, as remote hiring continues to expand, this case shows the person behind the screen might be part of a global fraud network. To stay safe, companies should always verify new hires' login locations, match the reported home address, and keep a close eye on any use of unauthorized personal devices or VPNs during the onboarding phase. I live in San Diego, so if my boss is watching me, I still live in San Diego. I'm not going to be, there might be an odd chance where I will take a trip up to like Santa Barbara or something like that, but yeah, it's just what it is. So, yeah, I would love to talk to a recruiter that recruited, well, not recruited, but hired or thought that the people was a good hire. Because in this, having just finished a job search myself, any of these companies where you're going on to, do interviews at these tech companies or what have you, they've taken on the idea of, well, we need to do multiple loops with people or multiple interviews with folks and homework and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, the homework is usually coding, which, it's not a huge deal. I could probably get a developer job now with all the AI that's going around. But it's like if you're having a discussion with a director of engineering, if you're having the head of IT and all that stuff, there's multiple people who have failed to figure out that the person that you're interviewing is really a North Korean operative, like this fine person right here. Your companies are, I don't know if you heard that or not, but you've got multiple people in your company who can't figure out you've hired a North Korean asset, or are these the same people that can't pass phishing tests or what have you? So I'm trying to figure out what the North Korean folks are doing in terms of social engineering to get hired at scale, apparently. I think we saw, what was it? Amazon 1,800 attempts to hire North Koreans. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, according to the BBC, Amazon blocks 1,800 job applications from suspected North Korean agents, and they still ended up getting a handful of folks, or some, even some place as mature as Amazon and their hiring practices still managed to bring some people on that were North Korean assets. It happens, and I would argue that places like Microsoft and Amazon are constantly having to deal with shit like this. The small and medium businesses that are doing remote work, they can't do this at scale. So, they're going to get somebody who is, it's hard. It's really hard. So, thanks, Astro Kate. Yeah, Chill Hop Radio is excellent. Excellent taste. Yes, I listened to them for years. I also listened to Lo-Fi Girl as well. So. But it's just interesting to see these kinds of articles coming out about, blocking applications from suspected North Korean agents. Now, there's probably some threat intel involved here with this one, certain, methods by which they are, applying, or they're using specific email addresses or something that's just popped in a threat intel feed. This is where you would be working with your recruiters to kind of identify those flags ahead of time if you could. If it was really a a systemic issue for your organization, like you're hiring for a specific project and you've notified people in your job descriptions they need certain technologies, you would want to make sure that those people you're hiring are legitimate people in that case. But yeah, it's hard, because like I said, small, medium businesses don't have the resources that a Fang would or a Mango to be able to weed those people out. So you're gonna see more of that, or you're gonna see people that are, they tick all them boxes and they can answer all those questions, and hey, he was a good fit or she was a good fit because she convinced us, and then that's just their job, right? You may not be interviewing one person, there may be 15 people in the room with them, helping them coach them through the answers or whatever, because the idea is they want to get hired because they want to own your shit. So anywho, let's see. Wow, I can talk, can't I? Okay, so Mythos, Glasswing. I don't know if you've been under a rock. Glasswing is going to be the new hotness. Securing critical infrastructure. The article I had read said that there was, let me see, where is it? No, not that. Yeah. So this is a company called Isle. They apparently they're doing some testing on things, but they said that they have tested Mythos. Apparently they've got access to Mythos on small, cheap, open weight, wait, they said we tested Mythos showcase vulnerabilities. The hell is that supposed to mean? Yeah. So, Mythos preview. Okay. So that, okay. Mythos validates the approach, but does not settle it yet. I feel like this is not written by somebody who, yeah. So the idea behind Glasswing is it is supposed to help secure. We're getting all these folks, JP Morgan Chase, Broadcom. I talked about this on Thursday a little bit. The idea is Mythos is going to be able to surpass all but the most skilled humans at finding and exploiting software vulnerabilities. You're a red teamer, you should be quaking in fear. Maybe. So they found thousands of high severity vulnerabilities in every major operating system and web browser. Great. I mean, that's a great thing. There are some companies though, like I would imagine companies that deal in the vulnerability management space, especially publicly traded ones, that are a little worried about this. Good reason, maybe, I don't know. This could be hype train. This could be just a giant sales website right here. All but the most skilled humans. See, I think this will be great, but I still think that there'll be false positives. I still think, and to Astro Kate's point, I think there will still need people who are going to verify these or the context of these things, because unless you can feed the context or where this vulnerability or where these systems sit in an organization to give the AI that context, I still think you're going to need people to verify that, or to explain to other, agents or people who are now going to be the air traffic controllers, fixing these things, that this, needs to be addressed, or this needs to be prioritized, or explaining to management, who are still human right now, why we need to address these issues. Now, what I do know, and what I've come to figure out, and why I'm working on a threat modeling's code kind of thing that I'm vibe coding up, which I'm sure there are hundreds of them. I'm just trying to do this myself as well, because I'm just trying to learn something. We can no longer manually patch. So one of the ideas of resiliency with building out new systems, building out your IT infrastructure, building out your systems is, I really think VMs are going to go away. I really think they will. I think with AI, you're going to be embracing a lot of more microservices. You're going to be embracing more ephemeral resources. If you've got a VM that's being stood up, a couple of hundred gigs of data, RAM, you've got, a couple terabytes, 15, 20 terabytes of drive on it. You've got, 8 or 9 CPUs. Those are going to be really highly specialized workloads to be done. Everything else is going to be, run your stuff and be done with it. It's almost going to be like a Heroku model or I keep using the term Lambda. Lambda keeps coming up a lot at work. Using it, on demand kind of thing. Like I need to run this thing. Okay, it's going to take up 15 seconds of a Lambda and it's going to shut it down or whatever. Because that's how AIs are going to operate. They're not going to stand up an EC2 instance. They may stand up a Docker instance and run it that way and then shut down the Docker because one, it's more cost effective or what have you. But I think the ability to patch things at scale is going to require an AI to do it for us. Or the AI is going to have to do checks, but when it's standing up its environment to do its thing in and go, oh, I don't have the updated tools, or I don't have, if part of your workflow for your AI when it's doing the work or when it's in flight, when you're directing it to do things, you say, stand up this thing, make sure it's fully patched, got all the proper configurations inside of the infrastructures, and then run your bits. It's going to stand that stuff up. It's going to patch all the system. It's going to configure your S3 buckets and your RDS and all that correctly. And then it's going to do its stuff and it's going to tear all that stuff down, or it's going to keep it up for whatever next work is, or whenever the next, AI is going to come in flight and do that thing. We no longer have the luxury of going like, okay, developer team, if you could patch your Windows 2008 box, it's been up for about 10 years. If you could add some story points to your sprints so that you could allow it, time to, no, that shit ain't going to happen. Know what I mean? You're going to be stuck trying to, the speed's just not there, and you can't expect a human to do it. So part of the resiliency is going to be like, if you're still a human building this stuff out, you need to have redundancy so that I can, maybe it's me or maybe it's an AI. AI is going to patch your stuff. There's no downtime. There's no change windows. There's no, hey, we're going to patch this during the off hours. Just like, you're going to patch your shit now, and if you can't survive if you can't survive, so like redundancies, load balancing, being able to pull this Kubernetes instance down and pull up another one fully patched and configured properly, pull this one down. Kubernetes instance shouldn't last more than 2 days, 3 days, in some cases, unless it's, like a worker or some kind of the infrastructure on the side. But if it's doing work, recycle those regularly. Those need to be pulled down and brought back up with a mother that, if you use the kombucha reference, a mother that's going to, keep building with known good updated version here that gets updated every 15 to 20 minutes. Ideally, that's what I'm petitioning to do at my new place. Same thing with the Dockers. If an AI is going to stand up a Docker instance, it's going to go to the 1 or 2 images or, known good source of truth, completely patched and configured issues. Going to go to those Dockers. It's going to use those, build the environment. Those are going to get refreshed on the reg. These Docker units over here are going to get updated. Ideally, we'll pull those down just as fast as we do Docker instances or Kubernetes instances if we can. But the idea is I shouldn't have to wait to patch. I'd love to hear people's thoughts. Please voice your opinion below on YouTube. Tell me I'm a dumbass. But yeah, I think in terms of resiliency and what have you, you can't not, especially with things like Glasswing, if it's even potentially true. And to be fair, I'm glad that all of these companies have signed on for this, because, how many people have had their weekends or holidays loss from a fucking Cisco vulnerability or a Palo Alto Networks vulnerability, my concern is, why isn't Fortinet on here? Why isn't Blue Coat on here? Why isn't fucking, I don't know, Linux is on here, for fuck's sake. So you're going to have any Linux kernel vulnerability. Would really like to get rid of the named vulnerability memes. That would be done and over with. That kind of thing. So, chat pause due to mouse movement. Because if it can find these vulnerabilities as fast as they're even stating, even if it is 50% faster than how people are finding vulnerabilities now, we don't have the time or manpower for this deluge of potential. They said thousands of high severity vulnerabilities. Now, thousands of high severity vulnerabilities, you may not be using all of these vulnerabilities in your environment, or the packages that these high severity vulnerabilities are in. You sure as hell don't have the time to patch even 10% of these. Like, you're finding these things on the reg. And it's not just OS's. Every package, every NPM package that you have in your environment, every PyPy package, every fucking Rust package, every OS package that you have, your environment is made up of multiple ecosystems, right? You have vendor patches, you have third-party patches, you have every vendor, you have a Jira, you have a Salesforce, you have a firewall. So you don't have time to do that shit. You don't. Especially when they're going to be coming in even 5 to 7 new ones a day that might affect your organization. Now, what I'm hoping is this is going to happen. It's going to plateau, right? We're going to see this, right? Hopefully, what I'm hoping is that this will start leveling off and there'll be less, right? In a perfect world, I'm hoping it looks like, like a... No, that's not what I want. This, right here. This. So you got your steep upslope. It's nice and flat on top. Then it's going to start, petering off. Heading down to nothing, or slowing down, that kind of thing. So the idea would be that you're not going to have a ton after a while, and that the number of vulnerabilities will hopefully level off, either because AI is doing the majority of the coding, or there's better, more resilient processes in place to patch those more quickly. At some point, though, if AI does find all of the vulnerabilities, or a good number of the vulnerabilities, there will be less to do. There will be less vulnerabilities. So, yeah, it would be nice if we, if the mesa, or the plateau, if you will be quick, and we'll be able to use AI to help us with that. So, I'm actually just watched The Martian, and I was like, I'm looking forward to the opportunities that provides, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing if Glasswing is something we'll be able to use. What I would love to see Glasswing do is, it's always going to be, you're right, Astrocade. It always is going to be a cat and mouse game, because the bad guys are going to be using the same AI. That's the other reason I think Alacrity is in place. We don't have time to go, hey, could you add a couple story points to your 2-week sprint to get this thing done? Bad guys already have a Glasswing that they're already using for this stuff, because they've already had the time to build that themselves, and it's going to be important that we have these kinds of weapons in our, I hate to say weapons in our arsenal, because everything shouldn't always be about war and offense and defense, but we need to have the ability to be able to do the same thing that they're doing. And like Astrocade said, we have to play that game. It'll just be probably much faster now, I think. So let me see, what else did we have? Yeah, friend, Mythos. Oh, yeah, North Korea again. So the jagged frontier thing. Where's that at? Right there. They have a blog post. You can go and read about it. But they said they found wow, a 27-year-old bug in OpenBSD. That's crazy. I remember back in the day when OpenBSD had no remote holes in its default install. Then they found one, and I think they took that off the website because they said, "Oh, well, we've actually found other shit in our default install. Maybe we shouldn't, have that in place." But here is the article to that. Um, I actually did look at the bottom of this one. There is no sales pitch at the bottom of this, so this isn't like a buy our ISLE, development tool or whatever. They do get in some nitty gritty about snippets, OWASP benchmarking, can models distinguish real vulnerabilities from false positives. So there's some good. There's a good write-up in here about all of this and what they've done to do some testing on that with regards to various models like Sonnet and GPT and those FreeBSD NFS exploit. I think they found that one too. And they found it in several minutes, I think, in terms of that. So, 8 of 8, smallest model, 3.6 million parameters at 11 cents per million of tokens. Identified the stack buffer overflow. I think what it is we have so many code bases, and AI is just a bit more. I don't want to say it's better at it, but I think it has more time to do this stuff, and it is faster, but it can make those connections a lot quicker, I think, than we can. So, 1 second. What do you want? You want to come in? Okay. Well, you can come up here and sit down. Okay. Come here. You get up here. Come on. There you go. Get up here. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I missed you too. Well, let me fix my microphone. There we go. I mean, they go through, take it for what it is. I mean, Glasswing could be hype, could be a little, could be something that's good. There are obviously, there's more than one way to do this, but, Anthropic has the wherewithal and the time and are you going to get down? You going to get down? No? Okay. Yes, my mama. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's impressive finding, vulnerabilities in something that is, they try to believe in security like OpenBSD. So FreeBSD, I'm assuming they did open in FreeBSDs because of the licensing issues. With the licensing of Open and FreeBSD, you don't actually have to give the code back like you would with the GPL or the Linux version. So it could be a reason why they used those versions for that. But yeah, go through and read. See what you think about that. If you think that this ISLE article is bullshit, I'd love to hear the thoughts in chat. So drop it down in there and join our Discord or tell us on YouTube what you think about that. Alrighty, one last thing. The North Korean supply chain. So again, going back to it's a whole mess of shit. You have okay. I don't know what this is. I'll turn that off. 1,700 packages, 5 ecosystems, and North Korea. So Contagious Interviews back again. Didn't we just talk about them? Didn't they just have somebody who? Where was that? Here, move your tail out of the way. I gotta unclick a thing. So I think they were mentioned in the VPN guys, right? About so the guy who got fired from that was, they mentioned Contagious Interview in this. So yeah, there you go. North Korea Lazarus Group and their subgroups such as Contagious Interview. So they were using a VPN, bypassing the firewall. In this case, so are you doing okay? Yeah, are you doing all right? Daddy will be downstairs in a minute. Okay. Yeah. He's a good mama. I know. Tell them all about it. You can complain as much as you want. You've earned it. npm, PyPy, Go, Rust, PHP. All of these they're injecting malicious packages into your dev team tools. Contagious Interview, which was a Lazarus group, executed the most comprehensive open source supply chain. AstroCat's complaining. I'd shut the door and she'd been downstairs hanging out with Mama, and then Mama came upstairs, so she was wondering where I was or where Mama was. So, now, yeah, okay, it's okay. Daddy loves you. Yes, Daddy loves you. Socket security researcher Kirill Boychenko published intelligence on 7 April that documenting a new cluster within North Korea's long-running contagious interview campaign. 12 confirmed malicious packages and 2 sleeper packages deployed simultaneously across npm, PyPy, Go modules, crates.io, which is Rust, and Packagist, which is PHP. All reused the same staging infrastructure and loader patterns. All functioned as malware loaders designed to fetch platform-specific second-stage payloads delivering info stealers and rats, remote access Trojans. Not a new campaign. Expansion of one. Socket's tracker for contagious interview now lists more than 1,700 malicious packages tied to the activity. April's cluster is a small slice of that total, but it is the first time the operation has been documented pushing coordinated, simultaneous packages across 5 separate registries. So they've probably just been doing PyPy, or they've probably doing npm because everybody uses that. They decided to spread out into Rust and PHP and others like that. So, and Go, and because those are, is there any other packaging system? PHP is like, okay, I'm sure people still use PHP. npm, PyPy, Go, crates. Those are like the big 4, right? If you're doing any kind of application development, you're doing it in either Go, Python, or you're doing it in, Rust, or npm, which is Node.js and stuff like that. So, you stay here. Axios. That was okay. Axios was another one that got hit just recently as well too. The most popular JavaScript HTTP client in the world, present in 80% of cloud environments by compromising its lead maintainer through a weeks-long social engineering campaign. Oh my God. Okay, I didn't read about that. All right, here. Are you gonna get down? Axios. News. Okay, so yes, developer tool Axios. Okay, so this is the Axios site, axios-http.com. Oh, be careful. All right. C will never die. All right. Astrocate, it's dinner time. Okay, have a good night. Take care. Thank you for joining, keeping me company. I'm almost done here anyway, so let's see, paste that up. There we go. Yeah, it's a simple promise-based HTTP client. I don't know what that means. I would love to understand. Let me see. Where is the blog? There's got to be a blog post, right? Third-party vendors, Quantum Day. Okay, where is Axios Social Engineering Tech? Okay, there we go. All right, so okay, dark reading. That'll be good if the okay, there, page loaded. Okay, here we go. So push that up. Push that up. Okay, so threat actor believed to be threat UNC 1069. Compromised lead maintainer Jason Samon's account. The actor then launched or published 2 versions to npm, each containing a new remote access Trojan. Malicious to contained a dependency containing a rat. Okay, so they uploaded a new version of like the build list or whatever for that package that pulled in another package, which was a rat. Development community jumped on the attack quickly, and malicious downloads or versions were removed within a few hours, but Axios is downloaded more than 100 million times a week. That's what that's a big M, million. So what, 100 million divided by 7, so 10 million, 7, 14 million downloads a day. No, yeah, 14 million downloads a day, 24-hour period. So a million, 700,000 downloads an hour. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. In a post-mortem, Simon wrote, I'll just read what he said. Wrote that the lead maintainer was deceived in a social engineering campaign that began 2 weeks prior to the attack. Axios was in the process of investigating exactly how the compromise occurred. Threat actors reached out to the founder of a company, cloning the founder's likeness as well as the company. Attackers invited Sam into a real Slack workspace. They bought a copy of Slack. They bought a license. They stood up a Slack instance and then bought a license. I mean, how fucking difficult could that be? Which had multiple active channels and was super convincing. Oh, God. Hello, bots. So we have 500 bots all just talking shit, with, integrations and like code merges and oops, oh, we just gave him access to everything in our Slack, our bad. Maintainer was then invited to meet on a Teams call. You have Slack. You don't need Teams. You can use Huddle inside of Slack. Anyway, when he joined, he was prompted to install a missing file. There it is. There it is. Okay, so I believe my daughter told me about this one where it was like you'll get a message from somebody on a Teams call or some kind of chat, and then all of a sudden it'll tell you need to download new audio codecs or audio inputs. I want to say that she said one of her YouTube influencers that she watches got owned in that way or something. But this is legitimate. Okay, it was out of date, right? They needed packages or drivers to be able to pull that. Oh, I see. Okay, cool. No worry, Astro K. Appreciate you. Yeah, my cat complains about treats and stuff too. When Sayaman installed the missing item, it was revealed to be the rat that was spread through the npm package. So he installed the rat himself because something was out of date or what have you. One additional detail a maintainer noted was the rat provided full unilateral control over their computer, even though two-factor authentication was enabled for his npm account. Sure, because he's got access to the computer. Those are two completely different things. Your npm account and your computer are two completely different deals. I can't fault the developer for that. Well, I can because Slack workspace looked real convincing, and then they used a Teams. It's interesting to use Teams for that. Like, oh, it's out of date or something. Did he have Teams even installed on his box to begin with? So that's fine. Threat campaign led to Axios compromise, seemingly also targeted a wide range of users and executives. Security researcher posted a technical breakdown of the social engineering campaign on the post-mortem thread as well. She wrote that the attacker spent a lot of time leading up to the call where the target is compromised. There's no urgency, no one-click fish, calls get rescheduled, and so on. It's a tool to disarm the target. Sure. Because they got all the time in the world, right? That's what social engineering is about. You grease them wheels. Oh, sorry it didn't work out today. Yeah, well, oh, we had something come up at the last minute. We're going to have to reschedule you. But we're, in this case, it wasn't super urgent. You need to click on this immediately. They're slow rolled him, which, okay. I mean, that's another way of doing it. And probably, obviously, the more effective way of doing it, because this was a big target and they knew that. If we can get this one, I wonder what I wonder what intelligent conversation or whatever their hell their names was. I forget. What is it? Confidential investigation? No, CI. It was conversational index, something like that. I forget. Anyway. I wonder what their stand-up was like. So, hey, we're going after the Axios person this week. Here's our playbook. We're going to kind of slow roll the guy. We'll tell him that we can't meet with him this week. No big deal, because this is the big tuna. This is the bluefin, you know, that's going to get you that prime sushi. You know, I mean, boom. I mean that's a big one, right? So yeah, that's a good one. There are these people with direct access to packages that are downloaded millions of times each week. The attacker can compromise even a handful of people with that kind of critical access. It's easy to see how Axios breach might not remain an isolated incident, especially considering Shai-Hulud, Glassworm, and other campaigns that put the development community on the back foot in recent months. Yes, and there are still developers out there that don't want to sign their code, especially from an open source point of view. I remember when GitHub had, you know, required that, and if I remember, NPM, or there's another package management tool or marketplace similar to NPM that was like, if you're popular enough, you're going to set up MFA. If you're popular enough, you're going to set up all the security controls necessary to ensure that this kind of shit can't happen. Now, he does have MFA on his account. Maybe he thought that was enough. But there's other ways of getting to them, right? They can compromise the computer, then they have everything they need. And depending on the development, what do they call it? The development habits of the person in charge, they could insert that onto the local box. The person may not realize what was changed, and they could have uploaded that version themselves. They didn't need to do that. And, you know, it could have been, they ran, you know, when they ran the rat, they had complete control of the person's computer. So, you know, git commit, whatever. Quick look through their Linux history or whatever, you know, command history might give them what they needed to be able to sign those things, because they're logged on as him, right? So they have his controls, they have his permissions, they have his access. If he automated away his MFA where it wasn't like, hey, push here to commit on your phone or whatever, I mean, he's probably having to clean up his environment right now from what had happened. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we tell people for social engineering, there's always a sense of urgency. Like, they want you to do something now. You need to do it now immediately. Hey, Digital, speaking of GitHub, did you hear about Microsoft locking out the devs for WireGuard and the dev for VeriCrypt? I did hear that. I also did see on, let me see, where was it? They swear that it is an email issue. They swear it does, yeah. So, so here's the article I saw previously, and then there was an update to it where they said Microsoft sent them emails about you need to verify yourself in the system, because reject 330. Let me see if there's an update here. Clearly, media coverage has more power in the fact that other projects are affected up gaining traction. Everyone is silent because of the power Microsoft holds. I want to say what I saw was that they said they never received emails. They both went looking for it. Yeah, I mean, it could be. I'm not saying, you know, they're wrong. I'm not saying that Microsoft was wrong. If I had to, it really depends on what emails they use to sign up for this. If I was VeriCrypt, if I was WireGuard, both of those are like deep security type applications. The first thing I thought of was they used like a Proton mail with an ephemeral email because they didn't want to give their personal information to big ugly red Microsoft. So they use like an ephemeral email thinking, well, one time I set this up, it's good forever. I could be wrong. That was the first thing I thought of. It was like the reason I didn't get the email is because that email doesn't exist anymore. That would have made sense to me. But you know, if they knew they were going to have to do this on the reg, yeah, here it is, right? Microsoft shutting down WireGuard, VeriCrypt, and others was just an email. Whoopsie, how silly that people are making a big deal of it. Yeah, Microsoft claims WireGuard and VeriCrypt account termination was merely due to not verifying an email. Sometimes everything is a conspiracy. Sometimes it's literal paperwork. So somebody had, I guess, one of the big wigs at Amazon, or not Amazon, but Microsoft had mentioned. And yes, I still have my X account because at some point they will no longer be owned by that shit weasel Elon, and they'll go back to being what they used to be. It's a good site. So, yeah, so I encountered some challenges. The most serious one is Microsoft terminated the account. Somebody. Same issue. Maybe it's a different article. Okay. Scott Handelsman, there it is. I love dumping on my company as much as the next guy. Microsoft does some dumb stuff, but sometimes it's just check emails and verify your accounts. Not every what the fuck Microsoft moment is a slam dunk. I've emailed VeriCrypt personally and we'll get him unblocked. So it took some kind of notification on X with some bigwig named Scott Handelsman over there to get things moving. My guess is that they're going to have to, it really depends on what happened there. If they never found emails, then they never found emails. It could be ephemeral. I mean, there's any number of things that could have happened. Hopefully it was just some wires being crossed. But it sounds like VeriCrypt and WireGuard are going to get their stuff back up and running. If any other organizations get the same thing, then it will definitely show a trend of maybe Microsoft not doing that. But Microsoft doesn't have any, I don't want to say they don't have any dog in the fight here, but I mean, it's VeriCrypt, right? I mean, there's no harm. It's not like they're taking anything away from Microsoft here. They're actually securing Microsoft better in some ways. So I'm not understanding why they would just decide not to email those organizations. So, yeah, I hate agreeing with somebody from like Scott Handelsman, but what's in it for Microsoft to not allow VeriCrypt or WireGuard to be used? I don't see anything about it. Anywho, I'm glad they've got all this straightened out. And so, yeah, it seems like Catalyst came in the form of account verification system for the Windows hardware program that began in October. Partner would have to review and update legal documentation or legal information, such as one must have a work email address and verify their identity via government-issued ID. Partners who fail to meet account verification by deadline or do not meet the requirements of the status set to reject and be suspended. Though VeriCrypt says it didn't receive any emails, Handelsman does suggest they were sent, so perhaps they were missed in some inbox somewhere. It certainly happened to me. This is the person who wrote this article, which would be James Bentley, published on 9 April. Unless you're my boss reading this, in which case I diligently. I mean, it could very well be that they got sent to the spam folder, and then after 30 days it got canned. There's a ton of stuff, right? Until this verification is sorted, it halts progress for apps affected, as developers can't publish Windows updates. This means VeriCrypt on Windows lags behind the likes of Linux and Mac OS. It's okay, right? Linux and Mac OS, okay. Yeah, I'm sure they're lagging behind whatever the version of VeriCrypt is for that. Company claims Windows is the platform used by the majority of users, so the inability to deliver Windows releases is a major blow to the product. Yeah. So, I mean, some of these developers that might be a little leery with giving a government-issued ID or whatever, they probably gave that information, but like I said, it got lost. Emails got lost. So, I'm sure they'll be more diligent about their emails. Maybe they will set, notifications whenever anything from Microsoft saying, please verify this thing. Please click here to verify your address and email identity. Click here inside the link in the email or whatever. So, but yeah, could be any number of things. So, it's getting to be dark. It wasn't dark when I started, but it is dark now. And I'm going to go ahead and get ready for the week. And thank you, Digital Warhead. Thank you, Astra K, for hanging out. and everyone else who might be lurking. I don't check my lurkers, but thank you if you're here. I appreciate you. Um, yeah, thanks, Astro Kate. Appreciate the insights. Yeah, Digital, have a good night. Take care. And yeah, to all of you watching, have a good day. Have a good week. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. We're fond of saying around here, you're the only you have. Okay? All right. Take care. We'll talk soon.